These are some of the things I was saying, how the history, the facts thereof, sometimes they keep playing out back and forth, and even leading to minimizing the identity and the effects and the real bad image of FDLR. We see it playing out in different places and ways. Yeah, in the recent times, years, months, we are aware the son, one of the sons of the son of Habyarimana, and some of the people who ran away from here, by the way, who live in Europe, United States, and have been active on this agenda of FDLR. And they've been recruited, they are financed, they've been forming different things under the tutelage of the president of DRC, personally, not even, we follow, we see the visits, the many visits they pay to DRC government in Kinshasa, and we follow their activities. They are enabled to get involved in. There are even those who used to be the officials of government who ran away like 20 years ago, again because of association with FDLR or other activities to undermine the integrity and fail the government so that it doesn't move forward. So you can link these things. You see the FDLR being covered up by some authorities in Europe and elsewhere, then the family of Habyarimana, and individuals who were active in what happened in the tragedy, like his wife, and they are in the courts of law, the cases are treated the way those powers decide. And then those activities leading up to, and then in the end you have people saying, FDLR, how many people are they? Really it's like, for us who complain about, when we are complaining about FDLR, these genociders, actually it is not even complaining about them in isolation. They are strengthened, they are made effective by the association they have with, for example, the government in Kinshasa or some authorities in Europe, or who allow these to, and then in the end who openly play down this. So you can put all that together and form a picture of how manipulations and wrong things have been going on around this problem of FDLR, but also how that relates to what is happening in Eastern Congo, or in Congo, and the noises that are made after that. Then you see resolutions that the UN sort of not bothered about FDLR, and not even bothered by those who support them, and trying to distance and make them innocent, those who support them. So it is in that form that we see even that case, how it has evolved. It has something to do with all that.
Next question from Theodore.
Hello, Mr. President. Theodore de Quiros. I'm a French journalist based in Rwanda for Le Monde and the AFP, and also TV5 Monde. You spoke about association between FDLR and Kinshasa. Could you share us more information about the association? Do you have any clue of that? But also, can you help us to assess the FDLR threat in Eastern Congo in terms of number and firepower? Also, as dismantling the FDLR group seems to be one of the key of the Washington Peace Agreement, when will you consider that this group is dismantled? Thank you.
Well, everything I have said, even here, about FDLR and those who they are associated with, explains that. I don't know whether I just have to repeat myself. In fact, I even talked about how there has been talk about numbers as a way of making it. The easiest way to give you numbers, if you operate here, maybe you should find time, they give you access, you talk to these people who have been captured and brought here among the leadership of FDLR, so that you talk to them directly. They give you. But again, the issue of numbers. By the way, I have seen that, for example, let me give you you know, in Congo, there are different forces. Let's say there are forces of Burundi, big numbers actually. Last time, since we talked about Goma, that even before, just before Goma fell, Burundi had in Congo over 10,000 troops on the ground. Then you know that there are Ugandan forces in the areas of Ituri, Beni, and so on and so forth. According to DRC, these are invited, so meaning they are there legally. But for the forces, for example, of Uganda, one of the reasons they are legally there or invited is to do with these groups of ADF. Would you be interested in finding out or understanding, or let us understand, in terms of numbers, how many are ADF? To make it such a significant problem that justifies the presence of, let's say, the amount of forces that, the number of forces that come from. Do you have an idea? So, because I suspect there may be a fraction of FDLR, but it is taken seriously by that label put on them, terrorists. You see, terrorists, even when they are 5, they actually can do harm, and people take that seriously. So FDLR why no one would take them seriously, knowing that their history, and worse still, knowing that they are associated with a government in DRC. And I mean, this is a public knowledge. Even the way you have heard of hate speech, you have heard of all kinds of things. If you want to know, you must be knowing. So still the issue becomes, how many would they be? How many? So it's like putting me to task. One, it is falsifying the issue of numbers. If we want to know about numbers, there are many. That's very fact. Then, but the essence of saying how many are they? It's like to say you are exaggerating. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about what you said that is said by so many, including authorities in Europe. I have been asked by some leaders of Europe, how many are they likely to be? When somebody asks me that question, immediately I know he's interested in covering up the problem. And therefore, I associate it with all this I see. I said earlier when we were talking about FDR, say the resolutions, the statements made at the UN, it comes saying, it is really like a whisper. It is just mentioned in the passing. It's not, but the reason is so that it's like Rwanda should not be taking action against them, which means from there, I can see they are saying they are not connected with the whole history or even their responsibility in what they did here. Well, by the way, they have also questioned even numbers of those who were killed in the genocide. It says moderate this and the others are just mentioned in the passing. It becomes an issue of moderate people who died. It's not about the mass of people who were killed in the genocide. This has been a subject of discussion and debate unnecessarily, in my view, for such a long time. So, the connection with between FDR and the Kinshasa government, my friend, I'm sure you know. And as a journalist, I'm sure you investigate, you should be knowing. I don't know whether I'm being tested to show how much I know, because I'm being asked by people who know. Then we can put it another day.
Next question to New Times.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. My name is James Munyanez. I'm from the New Times. Mr. President, you have previously said that Africa's instability is often the result of leaders failing their people, and that coups are symptoms of deeper governance problems rather than solutions. Mr. President, with the recent developments in Guinea-Bissau and in other places before that, like Madagascar and other areas across Africa, what do these developments reveal about the state of governance?
What is that?
What do these developments, like the coups that we've been seeing, reveal about governance, the state of governance on the continent? And what should African institutions, and particularly the leaders of Africa, do differently? Because, Mr. President, there's a sense increasing among young people that maybe you have leaders that kind of protect a club of leaders across the continent, that kind of protect each other. So what should leaders of Africa and what should African institutions do differently, Mr. President? Thank you.
You know, first time when I heard about the coup in Guinea-Bissau, even now I'm not sure really what happened. But when I heard it first, I thought somebody was carrying a coup against himself. That was my first reaction. It didn't appear to me like there was a real coup taking place. Even now, I need some time to confirm. But let me assume it happened, or that in Madagascar happened. For sure it happened. I think somebody's on the run and there's another one sitting there. To begin with, it means I'm vindicated. What I said that you referred to. And maybe we'll have more coups. And so be it. That is my approach to that question. If there are going to be more coups anywhere around the continent, so be it. Because I also believe true, where coups are taking place, there must be something wrong that has been happening, even all along. You can assume, you can read stories, you can see and appreciate and like something, but once there is a coup, maybe 90% plus, it means in that place there has been a problem people have been not talking about or covering up or something. Now, I don't know whether you want again my opinion, which I have. Because what is interesting, some of these coups are happening in a place where these are happening in places where these people who make judgment about us, the West, have been praising leaders. Okay? These coups only happen to tell these people you've been telling lies. Tell me, and maybe you can think about it and investigate and find out later, you'll tell me later. If this coup is not a coup against, let's say, in Guinea-Bissau, what do you know about Guinea-Bissau that tells you, you know what? Such a coup should not have happened. What is it? Because, or even go to Madagascar and tell me, you know, the way I know Madagascar, the way I've seen, why should the coup have happened? When we ask ourselves the questions in that form, we might then get to understand whether there are underlying problems or there haven't been somebody just out of madness acted and overthrew a government. So the young people you talked about, you call them Gen Z? Well, why did you go to Z before you went to Gen Zero? I mean, the last resort, maybe. Is that what it means? I'm just guessing. Still, they are an expression that something is amiss. It may not even mean that they are always right. You see? But I would rather than, for those of us who are still around and don't want to be overthrown, we may need to find a way of making these young people responsible also, so that they feel they are part of, and therefore no need to overthrow. You see what I mean? Because there are so many, they can't all also be operating recklessly, collectively. Maybe some young, some hot heads among them can mobilize others, but still to move the whole mass to do something. So before they do that, it's our responsibility maybe to do something so that they have no need to do that. Because where does it end up anyway? I haven't heard, except in a very distant place, but also differently. I haven't heard any of these ones go through that process and becomes the leader. So they always end somehow, maybe for another year, for another term, okay? There is a way to do things and to have a conversation in a manner that they become part of. And they become part of, if a country, because countries have problems, mine has problems. And people necessarily do not get everything they want, because there are real problems that people say, this country, if I use my example, wouldn't have everything as they wish to have it. But it is my duty, and for those other leaders of this country, to be out there transparently explaining to people why there are these problems, and show the effort you are making, and also that it involves them to try and deal with this problem. If somebody has the problem they understand, they won't be violent. They'll even be more sympathetic. They'll be a bit sympathetic because they know somebody, let's say you may say you want a road there. People may say, I want to see a road 100 kilometers from here to there, tarmac road. But if I go to them, I say, you know what?